A theme throughout bowl season, and it's always this way, just given how territorial and tribal college football is. Everyone likes to beat their chest for their conference and their strength and this and that. And like, to me, the bowl season doesn't really move me. And we'll talk about that throughout the segment. But like, I don't think it's something you can discuss anymore when it comes to the confines of the 2024 season. The Big Ten is the best conference in college football. Period. Mic drop. The end. Now, I'm not saying the SEC is dead. I'm not saying the SEC sucks, but right now, the football field is the ultimate teller of truth, and the football field says the Big Ten is the best conference in college football. Again, bowl games don't really move me because of the opt-outs and because of the way you match up with different teams kind of being a little bit tricky to totally get a gauge for conference strength. But I don't think they don't mean anything either. Like we've said a lot, bowl games mean something here, and you have to factor them in when you have the discussion as to who is the best conference in college football. The Big Ten, for those of y'all interested, 9-5 right now in the bowl season. Now, you could say they're 8-4 because you got some Big Ten on Big Ten crime in the Rose Bowl. The SEC is 8-6. Okay, well, why are we saying the Big Ten's that much better? I mean, JD, it's a couple game difference, maybe, like depending on how you feel about the Rose Bowl and whatnot. The Big Ten versus SEC matchups are telling, all right? South Carolina goes down to Illinois, A&M goes down to USC, Alabama goes down to Michigan, and you pair that with the playoff, having 4 teams in the college football playoff from the Big Ten to the SEC's 3, 2 teams in the semifinals from the Big Ten to the SEC's 1. You could also make a case for Oregon being a top 4 team in the college football playoff should they not have drawn the buzzsaw that is Ohio State that's from the Big Ten. You hear where I'm going with this. There's a lot of folks now that love to get after me on the socials and say this guy's an SEC homer, this guy just loves the SEC, he's carrying water for the SEC. And I'm like, obviously we fit the mold here, being from Southern California and having played college football in upstate New York and having a cup of coffee at a Big 12 school. But outside of that, man, like the football field's not lying here. Like the football field is telling us exactly who are the top teams in this sport right now, and a lot of them have that Big Ten logo. So with that happening now, there's a lot of folks circling back on Twitter and taking their bat to the hypothetical crowd. And more power to them, man. Like if I was someone that was on the table here shouting for Alabama to be in the college football playoff, 1, I would have been wrong. 2, we stacked our chips on South Carolina a little bit later. We'll talk about that. But like I would say, yeah, 100%. That's incorrect. That has been disproven to me without a shadow of a doubt. If it wasn't already from the Oklahoma game, it's definitely been disproven from a Michigan team taking belt to behind, which were pretty much without most of their NFL players in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Like that to me, with a backup quarterback singing with it to Alabama, yeah, there's no more hypothetical. That happened. The football field told us. The Hard Count was brought to you today by Axia Time. Axia Time, the official timepiece of both the college football playoff and the Heisman Trophy. Axia Time is probably now the best kept secret in college football. Incredible combo of product, quality, and cool designs. No one is doing this right now in the college space. For the college football playoff, Axia has created a series of limited edition timepieces for each of the 12 teams in the college football playoff. You got 2 designs per team and only 100 watches now per design. Go to AxiaTime.com to check out your team's college football playoff timepiece. But listen, y'all, gotta act fast. These are going to sell out. If you're a watch person, you'll see these specs, quickly realize great value that you're getting. If you're not a watch person, do your homework. You'd figure out this is a great deal when it comes to these watches. So check them out at AxiaTime.com. That's AXIATime.com. Commemorate this season in style with a watch that tells so much more than time. So in one sense, I'm saying, okay, anti-hypothetical crowd, have your victory lap. You should. At the same exact time, though, I'm sitting here saying, I still think South Carolina, you put them in the 12-team playoff, makes some noise. I hear the mentions already going crazy. Give me a second. I'm not apologizing for a hypothetical conversation around a team like South Carolina because, honestly, a lot of college football in itself, we have hypothetical discussions every single week. We ranked Oregon ahead of Notre Dame, to my knowledge, every single week in the college football playoff rankings. Does that mean there was some massive Big Ten bias at play? Or was it, hey, we saw Oregon throughout the course of this year look pretty solid, look like they were deserving of a number 1 ranking. We probably would have hypothetically taken them over Notre Dame. We're going to put them number 1 right now in the country. Okay, great. No problem with that. Well, Notre Dame and Oregon aren't playing each other. That's why we can't have a discussion outside of a hypothetical realm. Now, Notre Dame's still playing football. Does that mean we got it massively wrong? I don't know. It's tough to say. My point being, we're all just taking hacks at this thing, man. Like, in some sense, I think we're all just trying to do our best based on what we're seeing to put together an opinion when teams aren't actually playing each other. Now, if teams play each other, okay, great, let's have a discussion about that. But I think if you had a hypothetical opinion on what you saw during the regular season, I don't think there needs to be some massive, pitchforks and torches situation of the anti-hypotheticals coming after the hypothetical crowd. That's more than fine. Now, I would also add, I don't think that hypotheticals is the way to decide the college football playoff. I mentioned South Carolina. Should they have got in? Probably do make some noise. I was sitting here on Selection Sunday saying I'd love to see them in the dance. The committee said what they said. I saw their logic. I was like, yeah, it's hard for me to disagree with that logic. Now, would I have done it that way? Probably not. But given your criteria, given what you're saying you're deciding this on, it's hard for me to say that you got it wrong by not having South Carolina in there. Full stop. So with that being said, man, the conversation around the best conference, again, right now, it is the Big Ten. Last year, I would say it's the Pac-12. Like, I think we talk about the conference dominance and whatnot, and the reason why the SEC got the benefit of the doubt is because they put some runs together, man. I mean, over the last 2 decades, more national titles than anybody else. Now, will that be different now in the portal era and the NIL era and the expanded college football playoff era? It could be. Absolutely could be. So I don't think we're wrong to give the benefit of the doubt to that conference that also had the majority of draft picks. But also now, as we enter into this new era, it's important to understand now the SEC is not the end-all, be-all conference here every single year. You can use context. You can play the hypothetical game as best you can. But at the end of the day, man, when football games get played, like, we got to just look down the barrel and say, okay, this is the best conference. Pac-12 last year, Big Ten this year. The Big Ten could start a run right now where they have some dominance, and we'll say the Big Ten's the best conference here going forward over the course of the next decade. I don't know. But it changes so much based on players. The Pac-12 last year, why were they so dominant? Dominant may be the wrong word. Why were they the best conference for us on this show? Quarterback play. Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix. USC was underwhelming as all get out. They might have had the best quarterback in the country. And Caleb Williams, depending on who you ask from a talent perspective. Number 1 overall pick. I digress. The bottom line here is the conference discussion going to change a lot. But when it comes to what we've seen this season, it is the Big Ten overseeing college football right now. And do they start a run here and have some dominance asserted across the sport for the next however many years? I don't know. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to experience it. And we're going to all jump into this thing with 2 feet, full speed together. So, with that being said, if you're taking the victory lap for the Big Ten, shouts to you, congrats. And the football field has indeed spoken.